It sounds like you and your husband are getting a lot of fulfillment out of your practice, and it's creating less friction and more ease in your life.
Yes, we try to develop ourselves in this way. It's not always easy. Sometimes the concepts are a little bit hard to grasp, but I think we've been put on the path, and we have people in our lives that are also guiding us. And we try as best as we can, like you, to develop ourselves, develop those mental muscles, and just expand the consciousness in general. So we're both working towards the goal, maybe not at the same speed, but we're working there. It's a work, definitely a work in progress for everybody. I think not everybody is at the same level all the time, and maybe it's hard to understand each other at times. But I think at the end of the the end of the tunnel, there is this big reward of a full release and pure harmony.
Yeah, I find and I just want to highlight that reward that you're talking about, that feeling of release and harmony. I feel like we get that kind of reward along the path many times as we come to new understandings, and we as we grow. Those kinds of rewards or feeling, when you say release, I'm not exactly sure what you're saying, but it sounds to me like it's a feeling of relief and fulfillment. And is that what you're talking about?
Yes, for example, sometimes when I'm stressed, I will feel a tension on my heart, for example, and as I try to let that go, it's what I would call, I guess, a release. Or
yes. And so it's like, and so you're getting some relief from tension and stress, and you feel that ease that comes, and that's a pleasant feeling of peacefulness and well-being, it sounds like.
yes,
Yeah,
very much so.
yeah.
I will briefly touch on your other on the other side of you, so the Juliette Burley, and excuse me if I'm not pronouncing it completely right, because you do have two websites you mentioned, and you're an author. Would you share just a little bit about that aspect of you with your books and your ebooks and the topics that you're discussing, just so people listening are aware of all facets of you?
The I don't have a website for my mindfulness practice yet. That's in the works. I do have a website for my author career. I write under a pen name, and I write romance. I write romance they're like women's fiction, romance, and suspense. There's a little suspense stripped in, although I like to write Christmas books as well. And I enjoy writing it, and I'm also an artist, and I teach painting and drawing, and I made the painting behind me. So I do love the creative arts, whether it be writing or painting, and I teach writing and I teach painting and drawing and Zentangle, which is a black ink form of art. When it comes to my writing, first of all, it's wonderful. And I think I attribute mindfulness to allowing me to be able to do this, to just sit down and open up and let the words flow through me. And that can happen for a half an hour, for 2 hours, for 4 hours at a time. And I really think that the ability to just open up and be present and let that flow, that's almost like meditation right there. Okay, that's an auto response to the creative essence that wants to push through us all. And I think anyone who's gotten lost in a creative idea or in a creative activity, understands what it's like to go into that timeless place and just have the creative impulse soar through us. And so that's what happens when I write. That's what happens when I make art. And I enjoy, in particular in writing, sometimes I drip little bits of philosophy in there, little bits of wisdom, and I enjoy doing that. It's a way of sharing that with the world. I think probably most writers do that in some way. I love to write about characters who have serious challenges or traumas. I have 3 series of books out, and in every series of my books, there's a blind character because my son is blind, and I love to share just aspects of being blind with my characters. I mean, I've spent much of my life thinking very hard about his needs and how to help him be successful independently. And as a result, I'm pretty good at writing the blind characters, and he gives me a lot of feedback. He gives me feedback, and his girlfriend, who's also blind, gives me feedback. I read all my books to them. And so I appreciate writing in that diversity as well, so that we live in a world with people who come in all shapes and colors and abilities and all different sensory, strengths and limitations. And I just like to include some of that in my stories.
Yes, well, that's really nice to share that work, and I'm sure it's very beneficial.
Yes.
Your son to
So
participate.
that's
that.
Juliet Briley, Brile. Yeah.
It's
Juliet Briley.
Juliet, yes.com.
Yeah.
Yes, I'll make sure to include that in the references. One point that I wanted to mention is the contact me page. I just wanted to make sure if there was anybody listening to this interview that if they're interested in your work or want to reach out, because I see it's like a contact me page type.
I do not. You're right, because that's my author website, and and I really encourage people to sign up for my newsletter there. I have a newsletter that comes out twice a month. And I don't have anything on, if you go to the Unified Mindfulness website, you can find me there and contact me through them. But I also have Julie Burch Coach at gmail.com, and I can email that to you. Julie Burch Coach at gmail.com. And so that is also a way people can get a hold of me.
Yes.
And when I get my coach website up, there will be a contact me on there as well. But right now I am listed under the level 2 coaches on the Unified Mindfulness site. And hopefully in 6 months, I'll be listed as the certified teacher on that site, as one of the many certified teachers. So that will happen when my program ends this year. Yeah.
I'll wish it for you. I hope.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that.
We're getting to the end of this interview. We have some bit of time left, but I like to always ask towards the end, and this is more so open-ended for you, if there is anything else you would like to share, convey to our audience before we conclude, any final thought of what you would like to include between your work with the Unified Mindfulness or your work as an artist, anything that comes to your mind, please feel free to share.
Wow, that's such a big, wide open possibility there. I think that what I would like to say is that I believe that there's a creative essence in the universe, that there is a creativity in all of us, and that creativity wants to pour through us into life in some form. You're using it right now as you interview people. And I know that you make speeches and you have a business. So that's one aspect of your creative pursuits, right? The creative energy manifesting through you in that way. And I believe that mindfulness practice helps us open up the doors to our creativity so that it can flow out into the world. And I think it needs to, it wants to. I think that's part of the the expression of who we are in our human form, is what gifts do we have to share with the world? And I think we all have gifts to share with the world. I think we all have specific and general. We have we're here to express the unique beauty that we are. And we can do that through a variety of ways. And I think the mindfulness practice really greases those wheels so that we can do it more effectively and more fluently and more joyfully.
Yes, that's a very nice way to put it. Like, what gift do we have to share with the world? And, yes, I thank you for mentioning some. Yeah, for some reason I developed this. It's not a love, but I developed this really addiction maybe to do public speaking. I really like to put the word out there and share as much as I can. So okay, Julie, doing
And you see, and
mindfulness.
that's it. That's the creative impulse pushing through you to go into life, and you're an example of it right there, right now. Yeah.
Well, thank
And
you.
so it's driving you. Yeah.
So I think all of this will conclude this interview.
Okay.
Thank you so much for sharing all you have to share about mindfulness and about your work. And I really appreciate all the work you put out there and your work in general. So I will end this recording, but I will stay on.